Hi guys, Billy back, and this time we're looking at the Lord of the Caspian Sea 1/6 scale figure, aka Barbossa from Pirates of the Caribbean. But the first thing I have to say is I really like this ship. It's strangely heavy. This box is a lot heavier than I thought it would be, considering it is just a simple 1/6 scale figure. So I don't know what's going on there. It'll be interesting to open this up and see what's actually inside, whether it's just like the body they're using as a very heavy one, or if there's a base or something. I don't recall there being one, but we'll see once we get it open. So let's pop it open and have a look at exactly what it's like. Okay, so just looking at the box, we can see it's got Lord of the Caspian Sea down here, 1/6 scale collectible figure. You know what? They probably think this is so good that they had an extra eye into the word figure because it really needed two eyes. But as you can see, they've put a promo picture of the figure itself on here. Now this is a picture of the prototype, which is very brave of them, to be honest, because if the final release isn't like the prototype and is just like a step down, you're basically showing them what they could have had and then, reminding them that the final release isn't as good. Well done, top marks for bravery at least. And then on the side we've got Lord of the Caspian Sea, and we've got some sort of like pictures of the gallows, or don't know what you call the bottom of this ship. Goes to show what the fuck I know about this stuff, huh? And then on the side they've actually got a promo picture of everything that it's included, but it's all on the sideways. And if I turn it around, I have to pull it all the way out of the shelf and then put it back in, and yep, there you can see all the pictures with the actual. Actually, there is a base. Yeah, it's probably why it's so weighty. God damn it, I'm actually shaking trying to hold this up. Lord of the Caspian Sea on that side, SWToys Tough Guys at the top, and the same on the bottom. And that's about it. Now I will say that the card and the box is sort of like a shoebox design, and they have really made it super thick. You can see how solid this box is. It's really sturdy. It's really good quality actually, and 1/6 kit was really great because not only did they put it in a shipper, but they put it in another box, wrapped it in bubble wrap, and actually added corner protectors on each edge of the box itself. So fair props to them, they actually did a great job in packaging this up, so when it got to me it was in pristine condition. Let's see if we can do the iPhone thing. Oh, slide, come on. Sort of. Okay, and it's got some foam inserts on the inside, and if we turn it forward there's probably going to be bits falling out, but try not to. You can see you've got the figure itself, you've got loads of accessories with a few hands here. The feet are turned way up. I'm a bit worried about that. Oh dear. Hope that's not something going forward that's going to be a problem. And underneath you can see we've got a really cool looking base, some extra accessories, a hat. Oh, this is going to be really good, I think. Okay, so here he is just straight out of the box, and I've taken all the accessories, and he comes with a generous amount, I would say. Very nice looking to begin with. I'm a little bit apprehensive about the face. There is a few, well, there's a slight flaw in that the actor Geoffrey Rush has a very, shall I say, uneven surface texture on his skin. He's got a lot of pitted skin, and the nose can be a little bit bubbly and things like that, whereas on this guy they didn't really produce that as well. It seems they've gone slightly more smoother complexion, but we'll get to that in a minute. But you can see all these accessories he comes with. He comes with this little monkey guy who's got a little piece of metal in the bottom of his bum, and he actually has a few magnets. Now I think these magnets can go maybe on his shoulder or in his clothing or on his forearm, and then you can have the monkey sort of stick to him somewhere along the way if you're going to pose him with that monkey. But this is actually, it looks like a shrunk down version of the monkeys we got from I can't remember the company that made it, but they made a treasure chest with a couple of monkeys and stuff to go with your pirate figures. Ah yes, this is it here. They've probably got the same company to design this one as well, and they've just popped out another slightly smaller monkey. It's quite nice though. It's got some shading in it, and they've actually painted in all the little gold tassels and whatnot. The face is a little flat. They could have put a bit of a wash in there to bring out some of those details again, but it's not a big deal. It's a very nice accessory. And he also comes with his pimp hat, which is really cool. It's got a real feather sticking out of it, but it's quite a thick sort of rubbery plastic. Very nicely painted around the edges, got nice holes in it. And then you stick that on his head and he should look pretty cool. And he also comes with a sword, sort of like a cutlass, and this is die cast, and it's very nice and weighty. I really like that. Nice painting around the hilt. Really like that sort of guard. It looks very similar to what he had in the film actually. And then there's like a little motif on the end of the sword there. It also comes with this pistol, and then you can see this is die cast as well. Very weighty, quite nice looking. Some good details down in the actual barrel. No moving parts or anything, but still this will be a really nice accessory to stick in his belt. It also comes with 2 goblets, because what's a pirate without his rum? And it's really, I don't know, these are a bit flat. They're quite a cheap looking gold, like a gold paint. It just looks a bit toyetic. They're okay, they'll do the job I think, but yeah, it would be nice if they gave it a bit of a wash or something and made it look a bit more dirty and pirate-like. It also comes with 4 extra hands. He's got 2 gun holding hands, one for the right and one for the left. They've even painted in the rings there. And this left hand has also got its wrappings on, which is the same with the other 2 hands, these gripping hands. Very much the same. These hold the swords, but he also has 2 more relaxed hands on him already. And then of course we've got this base, and it's very nice, and you can tell it's like polystone. It's weighty, it's really heavy. Very nice sort of rock design on there, motif. Got some moss growing around the rocks and water. They've even glossed up some of these bits to make it look like there's water all over it. So it's quite fitting for a pirate to have a base like this. It sort of stands there and make him look cool, but it also won't detract from the figure very much. My only criticism with it is that they give you this stem here, and when you put it in, it just flops about and then falls out because this hole isn't meant to fit that stem, which is frustrating because you'll probably have to glue one in, and if you're gluing one in, then that means, you know, it's going to be very hard to take it apart again once you're actually trying to, say, sell it or move house or something. It's just something that they needed to take a little bit more care with, but obviously I understand that's plastic, this is polystone, and once in a blue moon maybe it shrinks or expands and you can't put a stem in it. But then they probably should have chosen a different option to go with it rather than that, because it's just crap. Okay, let's just take a look at the figure itself, and you can see it's got, this is the head sculpt I was talking about. You see where they've kind of tried to give it sort of flecking in the skin to make it look a bit pitted, but it kind of needed to be sculpted in there, I think. But they have sculpted in the skull, which is really nice. And I think they've done an okay job with the beard, but it still feels a little bit flat to me. It's not pulling in the realism that much. But overall, I kind of like it. I think the eyes are a little bit too close together, maybe. From certain angles, it's not too bad, but I do think, you know, there's something about the eyes that give them that sort of dead robot stare, which is a bit of a shame. But then you can see they've sculpted in the ears very nicely, and the hair's hanging down. Now, I haven't done much futzing with this hair. This is how it came out of the box, and I probably won't futz with it too much, simply because there is product in it and it feels a little bit waxy. So they've probably also put in some sort of paint and stuff to try and give him sort of like a darker bit down near the bottom of the hair. And they've even plaited in his ponytail at the back, which is really, really cool. I love that. And then you've got his bandana on, and then if I undo this, you know, if I try to pop this off, I'm probably going to cause problems. But the bandana looks really good, and overall I think it will do the job, but it does look a little bit, I don't know, a little bit waxwork in my opinion. You see there's sort of like a glossiness to the neck. It's okay, you know, they're from the Caribbean, they're probably sweating a lot, so that's not too bad. And he's got a really cool detailed necklace in there. Look at that. That's very fancy. And then of course he's got his sword holder here, and then that just goes in. And putting the sword in there actually helps with gravity a little bit, because it's pure metal. It pulls down this sort of strap a little bit more and makes it look a little bit more realistic, sitting on his shoulder a bit more naturally. Yeah, that is really, really good. And look at this coat, the details and all the buttons and stuff. And underneath he's got another jacket and all these tiny little buttons, and it's really nice pattern just inside. It's even got a gold trim. He's even got a shirt on underneath as well. That's probably going to not bode well for the articulation in the torso, but such as it is, that's kind of the way these figures go sometimes, especially when you're going for details in clothing. And he's got this sort of waist belt on, and these actually have bendy wires in them, so you can pose these around a little bit as well. And then this coat, you can see all these little buttons here, really, really cool. You've even got the slits in the side of the arms there. You can see at the bottom of the shirt is underneath, and it's even frayed and tired on the edges, and then coming down into the trousers, just normal looking canvasy trousers. And then the boots, they're actual real fabric, which is a really great touch. And you see it's really suitably very piratey boots. Yar. They've even weathered the soles, but it doesn't have any sort of tread on there, because maybe back then they didn't really think of it. It's quite smooth, but again they've dirtied them up, making them look scuffed. And in fact, I think there's a wire in the coat. Hang on. Yeah, looks like there's a wire in here as well, which is really good for sort of action poses and stuff if you're going to get this guy looking like a badass. In terms of articulation, he could look up about that far, I think. He can look down. Oh god, he's coming out already. Gotta be careful with this. He can look down about that far. He has plenty of pivot, and he can look left and right as much as you want. Arms can go up to almost 90 degrees and do a T-pose. There is a swivel just below the bicep. There is a 90-degree bend in the arm, which is a shame. It's clearly a single joint. Nothing in the forearms, but then the hands can swivel around as much as you want because they're on wrist pegs. Torso-wise, he can bend forward a little bit, lean back a little bit, but the clothing is restrictive. He can turn his waist a little bit more, which is a bit more generous, not too bad. And then coming down into the legs, again the clothes will restrict this, but he can almost Van Damme, which is really cool. There is a thigh swivel, there is a double bend in the knees, except mine's just popped out. Let's see if I can pop back in. Ah, the joint's back in. There is a double bend in the knee, and there is a hell of a lot of ankle pivot forward and back, left, right and turning. Okay, so I've messed around with him a little bit just to see what sort of quality we're looking at here, and there is some really great stuff with this figure. The die cast sword, the actual polished stone base, all of that stuff is really cool. There are a few niggling problems though. For example, the wrist pegs, because he's holding that die cast sword, it's very easy for this to swivel around and move. You see it just went all the way down itself there, and it started to look, it just spun round. So you've got to be really careful. You've got to get it at the right angle so it doesn't spin, but it's not that big a deal. And also the hands are a little hard, meaning that you've got to warm them up a little bit, otherwise you risk snapping the wrist pegs when pulling them off, because they're simply quite solid and they should be a little bit softer than that, but unfortunately they're not. They're a bit tough. Oh crap. Okay, so I'm already ticked off about this base. So I've gone and done. I've just added a bit of super glue to the bottom here, and then I'm going to see, I'm not going to stick it down, I'm not going to super glue it down, but I'm going to wait for this to dry so it thickens out the stem a little bit, and then try and put it in and see if it's a bit tougher and stays a bit better. If not, I then add a little bit more and put layer upon layer on until it's thick enough to stay in that slot. Right, so where was I before I started fussing about with that blooming stand? Oh yeah, the hands are a little hard, so yeah, warm them up a little bit and you shouldn't be too disheartened. I did have one of the legs pop out from the knee joint while I was futzing around. Wasn't a big deal, it just clicked back into place, and if you know enough about 1/6 scale bodies, you kind of know that that can happen from time to time anyway. Overall, I have to say, I really like this figure. There are enough details in here to warrant the purchase. That being said, it's not without its flaws. Having to fix the stem of that stand is just a bit of a P-take. They should have been able to get that sorted pretty easily. It's a shame that it might be a bit of a problem for other people, but a little bit of glue on the end of the stem should actually help that. And apart from the slightly harder hands and the slightly wiggly wrist peg, especially when you've got the die cast weapons in his hands, I think the head sculpt is just about Barbossa enough. It could have done with another tweak or two here and there, but I think they've done a pretty good job overall, especially for a third-party figure. The hair works really well and it sits quite nicely, and because there's product in it, it's not too frizzy or needs futzing. I do like the hat with the real feather in it. I think the hat feels a little bit thick, but it's not the end of the world, and I wish there was a slight bit more detail in that beard. It does look a little bit toy-like. The details with the necklace and the different layers of clothing and the belts and the buckles and the coat and the boots and the trousers is all great work. It is absolutely fantastic. and I think he will work really nicely next to other pirate figures. But overall, for the price you pay for this guy, he is a really good shout. If you're really screaming for more pirates in your collection, you probably already pre-ordered this, but if you haven't, I think there is a short pre-order window back open because I think they've already sold the first batch. So if you are thinking about getting this guy, I'd jump on it. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. If you do me a favour now, if you can get the fuck out of my cave. I'm probably going to mess around with this guy a little bit more and see what kind of poses I can get out of him, and then put him on the shelf next to these guys. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.